Hi, everyone. Welcome to another In Conversation episode with ASI. And today I am joined by an amazing stylist based in Canberra called Tracey Davis. Tracy, how are you going?
I'm good, thank you, Claire. I'm in lockdown here in Canberra, but I won't complain because obviously everyone in Melbourne and Sydney's been there a lot longer. So I'm grateful I'm only 1 week in and hopefully there's not too far to go. But how are
Yeah.
you doing?
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly very grateful that I'm able to continue working and, ASI is set up to be able to work remotely, and that's fantastic. So, utilizing this time to chat to people like yourself has been really valuable, not just for me to learn so much about the stylists in our community, but to also share that with everyone as well. We've had some really great feedback, people saying how inspiring it is, and I'm really glad that today we can share your story.
Well, there's so many paths and so many stories. It's just nice to know that there's so many opportunities with styling and there's so many paths you can go down. And when I saw you the last time, when was that? That was
I think it was 2017, and this is, or maybe even 2016, because Masters as a course wasn't even born yet. But there was a weekend where I think there was like a road test, and we were
yeah, we were it. Yeah. I remember I was so nervous because I didn't like public speaking, and Lauren started to speak to us and I just got up and ran out and ran to the bathroom, and everyone's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, but actually vomited with nerves. That's how scared I was. That's how much Lauren's done with us from masters to now. But yeah, I couldn't even speak in public at all.
Yeah,
But
but
come a long way, thankfully.
absolutely. And just with that as well, like your certificate course you started, we were chatting before, 2014 or 2015.
Yeah, I think it was 2014 maybe. Yeah, I think it's 7 years I've been styling for. So I'm so grateful you asked me to do this, because you forget to look back on how far you've come sometimes. You're always looking to what else can I do next, and you forget to look at how far you've come. So this was really good timing, and thank you so much for having me back.
Oh, you're welcome. I think it's so great because there are so many people in our community who did study so long ago and have gone on to create incredible success in their businesses. And it's not often that we get the chance to sit down with you guys because usually you are so busy. You sent me through a list of some of the things that you have achieved since you started your course. And I was blown away. Commercial styling, resident stylist for a Canberra outlet. You've done TV shoots. You've got a podcast now. I mean, for someone who's afraid of public speaking, how do you find the podcast?
It's just the world's got a way of looking after you. Like, it's just, well, what Lauren says, say yes and figure out how. So I thought I only wanted to be a personal stylist. That's all I cared about. And then all these other doors opened, and I'm doing TV commercials and I've done music videos and running workshops. I mean, it's as I said, it's been so good to reflect. And if you say yes and try something new, it's amazing how the world looks after you. The universe is a funny way of looking after you when you say yes.
Yeah, it sure does. And what sort of is your, I guess, main source of work right now? Or is it encapsulating all of those elements still?
No, so right now, so I think this is quite important. So I loved personal styling for a few years, and it's all I wanted to do. I loved the intrinsic rewards of helping people, but it just began to not fulfill me as much. And I really lost my way for a bit and thought, oh no, I've invested all this money. I was 35, I think, when I went back to study this. And I've got two teenage children now and a husband who's invested the time and the money in me studying. And I thought, what was it all for? I don't enjoy it as much. But really, I just checked in with myself, and I just needed a new challenge. So from there, I've just kept growing and adding new feathers in my bow. And as Lauren says, you're either green and growing or brown and rotting. So anytime I start to feel too unsettled and brown and rotting, I just have to try something new.
Yeah.
So at the moment, yeah, the last time I checked in was kind of a year ago, and I thought I really love working in television. I enjoy dressing people in commercials. Time-wise, like I can take time from the family because I know it's maybe 3 days in a row, and then I'll take a break for a few days, and then I'll throw myself into more work for a few days. And the money I get for that versus maybe the personal styling, it was a more sensible business move for me. And I made that decision at Christmas, and by the January, I had been asked to do 3 television commercials. It was so weird. So I keep going on about what you put out, but I'd been making connections obviously through everything I've experienced. But when I made that decision, I just attracted all of this inquiry. And since then, that's been probably my main focus.
Yeah, I love that. And especially because, and I mentioned to you that before we even hit record on this episode, was that for a lot of people, particularly our Australian based stylists, they probably don't look as Canberra as somewhere that is a hub for like
Mhm.
that creativity, fashion, commercial sort of styling, but you've really carved out a niche. And do you feel like being, I guess, for lack of a better words, like a smaller sort of state, that there's more opportunity for you because it's more of a niche market?
Yeah. I definitely think that's been to my advantage, and there's more stylists coming through from like ASI. But I've just always believed, no matter where you are, just, and this is I suppose a motto in life, just like sticking to your lane, just focus on you, concentrate on you, and not going out to compete with everyone else. And it serves you well. So by consistently showing up on the TV commercials, haven't just landed on my lap. That's through 6 years of hard work in other areas. And by just being me, consistently working hard, people, yeah, like there's, so how do I say it? Yeah, just focusing on me, trying the hardest I can, you begin to attract more work and the right sort of people. But I think to answer your question, it has been to my advantage that it's a smaller pool and there's less stylists. But to that end, going on from the television commercials that I've been getting recently, they normally fly in their stylists from like Sydney or Melbourne. So
Yeah.
the last commercial I did, they've flown in all the talent, all of the crew driven up or flown in from Brisbane and Melbourne. And there was only me and the makeup artist from Canberra. So I think maybe that's also what's happening, that they're starting to realise Canberra has talent and a talent pool here they can call on.
And also, like, given that you've been sort of predominantly COVID free, it's probably a safe environment to sort of set up for these kinds of things.
Exactly. Actually, that has also been good. They can't get the stylist to fly in, so they've had
Yeah.
to kind of rely on me. So that could explain a lot. But yeah, that those people tell someone else and someone else, and before you know it, they start to think you're the person to call when they come to Canberra, which is. But I'm also good at, like, if it's not the job for me, I'll give that job to another stylist where I can, and that's come back to me as well.
Yeah.
You know, so some clients I'm not the right fit for, and in some jobs it's not the right fit.
Yeah.
So I would definitely refer them on to another stylist if I felt that they weren't going to do, it was just better suited to them.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely know that you've done that in the past and seen your posts through Facebook as well. I know that you've also done some workshop with modeling agencies, and we even had a conversation years ago about teens and workshopping. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yes, that's Claire. You helped me so much with that. That was the first public speaking workshop, and I remember I called on you, and you helped me so much. And that was instrumental in me starting to run workshops. So I used to work for a model. Well, I sometimes still do train for a modelling agency here, and
yeah,
you did help me so much with that. So thank you. And
no,
I've passed that on to other people who've been doing the job as well.
yeah, that's so
That
cool.
forward to thank you, because from the confidence I got from those workshops, I then started running bigger workshops, and then workshops for 60 women, and then I've done up to 120 women workshops.
Amazing.
So
So
thank you for
cool.
helping me so much.
Oh, no, you're welcome. I'm just, you know what, I think it's so important that, you know, we share the knowledge that we have in the areas that we are passionate about or sort of niche in, because there is room for everyone. And you know, it's worth it to give someone else the opportunity. And I know that you're a big advocate of that, like you said as well.
But yeah, there is, and it's there's only one you. So if anyone's watching this and they might be in somewhere where there's far more stylists in their city, it's like, but there's only one you. Only you can leave like your personality and that mark on someone.
Yeah.
So just honor that and trust that, because there's people wouldn't come to me that, yeah, you just attract the right client. And as I said, that's why I'm very sure when I meet some clients, and I think they're a better fit for this stylist that I know or this stylist. Just be you, and you'll attract your clients and your jobs, I think.
So cool. I love that. I'm curious with inspiration, because 2020 to 2021, I mean, we've been in and out of lockdowns, pandemic has hit all around the world, but inspiration is everywhere. And I'm curious to know where you're seeking inspiration for your creative sort of side, and I guess moving forward with your business. Is there somewhere specifically that you look to for inspo?
But I just think inspiration comes from everywhere. And right now I'm renovating my house. It's not to everyone's taste. It's bold. Like, I'm not a subtle person, so my house isn't. Like, I've got gold grout in my bathroom, and I've got bright orange paint in my powder rooms, and So I'm looking through a lot of home styling right now, and that's inspiring me because of textures and colours, and that's translating or giving me more confidence with my personal styling or my creative styling as well. So that's where I'm at right now. Maybe because I am at home more, but yeah.
Does your renovation feel a little bit like you bit off more than you can chew? Because I've heard that that can happen.
This is my third one. My husband's we own a building company, and that's what I should also add. I also am a partner in a building company, so I also still run that. I still work. So thankfully we've got well, until COVID, we've got all the trades and like on hand. But yeah, this is a big one actually. I actually have bitten off more than I can chew. To answer your question, yes. This is massive. Our budget can't keep up more than my ideas. Our budget is exhausted, so I'll have to stop for a while, I think.
Recalibrate and see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, love that. Before you were styling, you mentioned that you're a partner in the building company. Was that what you were doing before styling, or was there something else?
So I went to university in Edinburgh. I went there in the 90s to do a communication degree, which was very vastly different to a communication degree now. Like when I started, I didn't even have an email address. Like I don't think I knew how to log onto the internet if it even existed. So the communication, like it was I worked in marketing briefly. I was a marketing manager for an ice cream company, which kind of, I put on a lot of weight, right? And I was a lot of different stuff in that period, but I think that helped me with my style because I've been 3 or 4 sizes bigger and I've been a couple of sizes smaller. So I think that was really good for me in hindsight to appreciate how to dress different sizes. I met my husband in Scotland. He's from Canberra, and I moved here 2004, maybe 17 years ago. Then I worked in David Jones in the HR department. So I wasn't always like fashion focused, but I always just loved clothes and loved dressing for my body shape. It was always something that came very naturally to me. I didn't realize it didn't come naturally to other people. So the seed was planted constantly for styling. I just didn't realize it. When I had my kids, so my daughters are almost 15 and 13. My husband wanted to become a builder. So I said, okay, I'll work at home, I'll become partners and I'll do this. So we started that business like 15 years ago. Yeah. And I still continue to do that as well.
Yeah. What do your daughters think of mum being a stylist?
Oh, they don't care. My children don't like them. No one listens to me in this house. Because I'm very much, I don't want to dress them because that would go against all of my beliefs in being a stylist.
Yeah.
So they're not interested in me being a stylist. They don't ask my opinion. And actually, no one in my house respects that I'm a stylist. I have to say, people pay me for my advice. They don't care. My husband doesn't either. Yeah. I don't know if that's normal. Is that normal?
I can sense how it would be, especially with teens. And I think something that comes up quite often when I've worked with teens in the past is that like mum knows nothing. Even if mum is into fashion and, dresses really well herself, it's like they're forming their own identity, particularly during these years where it's like, I know that it's almost in the back of their mind, and they'll probably come back to you in like 10 years time and say, mum, you were right, because I can't tell you how many times I've done that with my mum about so many things. But in the time, it's like, I need to do this on my own. I need to make my own mistakes and fashion and otherwise. And that's all part of like the growing up experience, isn't it? To be able to explore your own identity. And it's the same as stylists with what we do, even regardless of age. It's really cool.
So that's why I'm glad I did. See, regardless if I was still styling, I'd be so grateful that I studied at the Shirley Style Institute because I'm a better mum and person and wife. I really am. From those sorts of things, like having no judgment, just letting them have their own identity. I mean, there's so many things I learned, but it's helped me definitely be a better mum. And I still hear Lauren with all the sayings that she used to say to me, but I pass it on to my children. Like fake the fear and do it anyway. And you're green, like brown and rotten, or green and growing, or there's no such thing as perfection. Like there's all these things that I didn't know about myself, and I was a woman until I did the course. And I think that's definitely helping my parenting. And if I hadn't been a stylist, I would tell my kids probably what to wear or tell them more about their identity, but I bite my tongue and stand back and know that that's what they need to work through, and that's the gift of this job, isn't it?
Yeah,
being
beautiful.
Helping them if they want to, but having no judgment.
Yeah, Be interesting to see if they
It's
come
hard.
back later on and say, Mum, I wish you told me that didn't look good. And, you know, you get that sort of thing.
I know. I'm like, so they come out like, how do you feel? Do you feel good too? How do you feel? And they're like, as long as it's clean and you feel good. I mean, I wouldn't let them go out in anything ridiculous, but some of their fashion choices, that's yeah, they'll look back and regret it, but that's what grown up's all about, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I still regret it. Like, I still wear clothes and I regret it. Like, it's part of the evolution of your style, isn't it?
Yeah. Is there an outfit that comes to mind that you're like, oh God, what was I thinking?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh God, that's a really hard one. I can't think of one off the top of my head. There's been so many. I just wear something, oh goodness, and then I'll look back and go, what? But no, I like to just test out outfits all the time. Like even last week, you know, just I put some things together and then I look at the end of the day and go, I probably won't wear that again, but I've tried it. Fashion should be fun, which I think people forget. So I do know my core style, but I certainly like to have a flirt around other areas and then come back to my core style, especially if I'm feeling down or I'm not feeling great about myself or there's something going on. I'll go back to my core style that makes me feel good. And then when I'm more confident, I tend to have a bit of a play.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I'm sure that helps you with your clients to be able to, I guess, picture how things might come together because you've road tested different sort of combinations as well.
Yeah.
So cool. What was the tipping point that made you actually get into styling? You mentioned that the seed was planted, but you weren't always, you didn't even realize that it was a thing. And then you're a student.
Yeah, well, it was weird. Well, I just thought I had a British sense of style. You know, British people, you've been to Scotland or Britain, haven't you?
Yep.
Yeah. So I just thought I had a British style, and that's why people asked for my opinion. But when I became a mum, like when I was pregnant, I just had no issues around dressing for my body. Then when I had young babies, everyone would stop at school or like when my eldest was at school and I still had a young kid, they'd always be asking why I look good. You know, I always just get stopped and asked a lot. And I'm like, I've got baby vomit on my t-shirt. I've just put a leather jacket on over it and some lipstick. You know, it was so, I was ready in 2 minutes. And anytime anyone gave me a compliment, I'm like, I've got this core style. It takes me 2 minutes and everyone seems to think I take longer. So I started to help other people. And then it got to the point where too many people were saying, you should be a stylist, you know, and I'm sure lots of people have been in the same boat. But at what point does a stylish person think they can style other people? That's what took me like years to get, you know, like to get the confidence to say, am I stylish? But who am I to think that I could style someone else? So that was a really big, I held myself back for so long until actually, if you want the true story, I don't know if I've told Lauren this, maybe I have. I went to see a psychic. So I was at this crossroads and my kids went to school and I'm like, I wasn't raised to go and work with my husband. You know, I had a career, I was going to have a career. What am I going to do for me? And my friend paid for me to see a psychic, which I can't say I'm that into it, but I'm not against it. And by the time I'd left, I was Googling style schools. It was really quite powerful. Said I was going to meet a woman in blonde and I was going to help people, teach people how to dress. And it was, even if it was just a counselling session, whatever it was, I left. And I didn't know you could style. I didn't know you could like study to be a stylist at the time. Like it felt new. So I Googled lots of places. And then at the time, I think it was so long ago that Lauren, I think, did she send you like a DVD? Do you remember? It was like a CD or a DVD.
Yes.
Like, I remember sitting in my old living room and I put this disc in, like this tape, but it was like a DVD or a CD, and it was Lauren talking. And I now know how she could talk to make you feel like she's talking directly to you. You know, I now know because of my studies how she could be so powerful with that. But I was crying. I'm like, Lord, I need to do this. Lauren's speaking to me in my room, and I thought I have to do it. So that's why I chose ASI, and that's why finally I worked up the courage. And I think I tried to call like 10 times, and I kept like, nah. And then eventually, it's great.
So cool. I know that Penny keeps in touch with you a lot as well via DMs through Instagram. Definitely someone that we at head office remember. Good.
And a race of both Scottish women. No, they were also, they were all so good and lovely. And you know, they're just such a community spirit.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned before about like a British style. Do you think that it's that different, that they're quite distinct, British versus Australian?
I don't notice it so much now. I think it was at the time when I came, like, so layering, for example, because I'm used to wearing 17 layers in Scotland. And over here, people had their like shirt and then they'd put on a puffer jacket and there was no like in between. And, you know, like it was that sort of differences I could see. There was, nowadays, maybe because I've lived here for so long, I don't see the difference. I'd say they're more dressed up over there. Like it's more laid back here.
Yeah.
Like it's OTT at times, like when I look at how I used to dress, you know, it'd be the hair, the face, the earrings, the necklace, the all the things. So I'd say maybe a bit pared back here, but I don't notice the difference so much now. But yeah, all those tools that came naturally to me, like if it's raining, I have gumboots. You know, like I would have gumboots and I'd have a nice umbrella. And at the time, I felt like people at the time would maybe be in the rain in their thongs and wouldn't have an umbrella.
Yeah.
Does that sound like I'm differentiating? I don't want to diss it. These are the little things that I did that came second nature that people would stop and ask me about. I have lots of different coats and raincoats and gumboots and things like that. So
well, coming from Scotland, you need that. I remember when I was there, I think I was living there for about 3 months, and it was supposed to be summer. And I remember going to a music festival. It was going to be 19 degrees.
Glasgow. It was in Glasgow. You went. Yeah. You before you left. Sorry to interrupt. It's like my favorite thing. And you're like, "Oh, I've got my cute outfit for the festival in Glasgow." And I'm like, "Oh, it'll be so cold."
It was freezing. It was 19 degrees, and there's people with their shirts off, like loving life, and I'm standing there going, "I've got like a big jacket on and like a rain poncho in my bag because I know that it rains so much in Scotland." And like, it was just,
I'm sure you did a post on Facebook or somewhere and it's like, "I've got a cute skirt," and I'm like, oh hey, and that's a wee shame because Scotland's going to you're so no. And it was it Glasgow as well you were at? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I mean, you've been styling for 6-7 years now. Has there been a point where you wanted to maybe throw the towel in because things got tough or you weren't sure of a way forward? And what was it that sort of got you through the other side of that feeling?
Oh, I think it's happened. If I'm being honest, I think it happens every year.
Yeah.
I think, don't know if this is for me. And it's always got to do with, it's either if I'm being, it used to be when I was getting pushed to try something new and it was the fear of the unknown that used to really hold me back. But I've grown to the point now where I know that when I've got that much unrest, it's when I'm settling and I keep going back to brown and rotting. But it's when I just think, oh, that's like, where am I at? I'm feeling flat. And then maybe, as I said, I would like to try and do this, but it seems quite difficult to get there. I just have to work a bit harder because every time I feel that feeling, something amazing happens. Every time I feel, is this for me? Should I keep doing this? There's a new version of it. So that's why it's so important for people to know you don't have to just do personal styling. I think I thought I have to do this and I have to do that. You have to do nothing. You can be a stylist and it's transient and it flows and you can try different things and it might not work out. So you go, okay, I don't necessarily need to say yes to that again.
Yeah.
Because I said yes to everything for 3 years, I think. Everything.
Yeah.
Yes. Until I got the confidence to say, no, that's not sitting with me anymore. I don't want to do it. So that's a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Important. I feel like that all the time, but I now see it as part of my growing in this industry, that that you grow as a person. It makes sense that we have this luxury that we can change and it grows with you. That's like such a luxury, isn't it, in a career, to just go, instead of me looking at it going, oh, what a princess, I don't want to do personal styling as much. It's like, no, okay, you still want to be creative. Where's it going to take you? And it's quite exciting.
Yeah.
When you don't push it too much, it's.
Yeah. So with that in mind, what does success look like for you in the future? And how do you actually measure success for yourself?
That's a really good question. I don't think I ever measure success for myself, ever. And that's why this is good for me. The fact you've even made me reflect on what I've done and what I've achieved, because I think I'm always like So Lauren taught me there's no such thing as perfection, and that's been a really good lesson. So I'm not trying to be perfect at things anymore. I'm just trying to have new opportunities. So I think I'm not saying this is a good business plan for anyone. I think I do bumble along a bit and see where it takes me. And that's not for everyone. So I'm not planning my next success. I'm just trying to enjoy the new opportunities, give them my all, and follow my heart and what sets that alive. Because as I said, I still run a building company. I have to get up at 5 to do all my building work and time to do my styling work.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to leave. It needs to be something that fills my soul. So
Yeah.
what does success look like? Continuing to push boundaries, try new things, and be creative, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not really attached to how much I work or how big I get. It's just about continually sparking joy, being creative, and also continue to help people if possible.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny, when I've asked some of our other guests that question, not one of them has said it's like financially based or like I've got
Yeah.
to land that job and that's success. It's that intangible feeling of knowing that you're taking that next step and growing and evolving, and
Yeah.
you know, the happiness that it can bring. You mentioned sparking joy, and they say that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I know that that's a saying that sort of comes up often,
Yeah.
but it's so true. And I think, like you said, we've got such this luxury of being a stylist where, you know, it gives you the flexibility to adapt that into whatever pathway feels right at the time. There's nothing that says hard and fast, you're on this path, you have to stay. You choose when the forecast will happen.
And I think that almost held me back for the first couple of years, like, oh, what should I be doing? And what does success look like to other people? And I'm not, you know, that's why if you don't compare and you just stick to you, and then you look back and see how far you've come. So that's why, again, I'm so grateful for this. Like, actually, I could now say I'm a wardrobe prop, like a prop stylist, because I had to do prop styling because they were there and they're like, we need a stylist for this. And I'm like, I'm a stylist. I could do that. Putting books, you know, it's like just an advert. It's like seeing where it takes you, and it's so exciting. And that's a really good question. I didn't realize till now it isn't about money, and it isn't tangible, and it's about, yeah, we're lucky. It's a good industry to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am so grateful that we've had this opportunity to catch up on what you've been doing for the last, you know, million years, it seems like, in the industry. And I'm really excited to watch sort of what happens with your growth in the future. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Claire. That was a nice trip down memory lane, and love to Lauren and Penny and everyone, and thank you for everything you've done and continue to do.
You're welcome. Thanks.